Okay. Hot. Okay. Let's talk. Let's chat. I want to say some things that feel like they really need to be said, but this might be a little bit of a hard, honest, scary convo because what I'm about to tell you will probably go directly against everything you've heard your whole life about turning your passion into your career. So let's talk about it. The biggest lie that we've ever been told as creators, that in order to be legitimate, you need to be full-time. So some background on me, I'm a full-time music producer and mixing engineer. I have been full-time for about 3.5 years, and it's been an incredible journey and also incredibly challenging in so many ways that I did not expect. I spent about 9 years reaching full-time status, doing everything I could. I was most of the time working 2 to 3 jobs at least, and then doing 20 hours of music a week. Additionally, on top of that, every free moment I had was dedicated to this craft of producing and creating music in the studio. I called it a passion at the time, but looking back, it was more of a necessity for me. Just where I was at in my life, as well as the need to feel like I had a shot at my dream, was the thing that was driving me. I was, as many of you probably are right now, glamorizing the creative career that I thought I wanted, putting it on a pedestal and being unmoving in my mindset that I would not be content until I achieved that full-time status. Oh my God, was I in for a shock. Plot twist at the full-time mark. After years of grinding and everybody in my life telling me, yeah, don't try, you can't make a living off music. I did. I ended up making it full-time. I linked with a business coach who specialized in helping music producers go full-time, and I was able to quit my job at the bakery I was working at, maybe too soon if I'm being honest. I jumped into my dream of being full-time, and it was incredibly I don't know. For the first year, I was scrambling, just getting any work I could. Like I said, selling gear I didn't need, just anything to make rent, basically, to stay afloat and stay out of another job. But I was doing it. I was finding work. And truthfully, I just didn't have a whole lot of time for reflection in my life in general because it was also new and overwhelming. I was becoming acutely aware of ADHD that I knew I had, but I did not realize how bad it was until I was solely responsible for every single cent that I was making, and I couldn't show up to a job where somebody had laid something out for me and I just got to work. Like, it was on me. Making my own schedule was an absolute nightmare due to not only uncertainty from, am I gonna have work next week, but also just that rampant ADHD that I mentioned, as well as my tendency just as a person to overwork like crazy. I took no breaks during my days. I worked 12-hour days with no days off in a week. It was just the general madness of somebody who's never been self-employed before. But I was doing it. I was doing the thing that I had always dreamed of doing. Year 2 was more of the same, but it was the year that I started to acclimate to the new types of stress that I was under. And because of that, I started to become a little more aware of how much stress I was under. I just started to crave the consistency of showing up to a regular job where, like I said, somebody has laid everything out for you. It doesn't matter if you're having a bad day, good day, whatever. You show up, you do your 8 hours of work, and you get paid. That was everything I wanted. Just getting that stress off of me that every second I wasn't working was a second I was not earning money, and I didn't know if I would be able to pay bills. And that pressure just never left, and it was catching up to me very, very quickly. I noticed myself avoiding work like as long as possible in the mornings. By the time I got into work, I felt okay because I was working with cool people and I really draw energy from the artists I'm working with. But getting those wheels turning every day was just a nightmare. But I was doing it. I was living my dream. This was the, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And it really was starting to feel a lot like work, like really hard, really stressful work. So third year, I reached an ultimatum with myself. I said, either you figure out why the hell this thing you love so much feels kind of awful, honestly, or you go get a job and you put this thing you love, music, back in its place where it was before, because it felt great then. And I don't know why, but it felt good then and it felt shitty now that I was full-time. Who cares if I felt like a poser, or I felt like I had fabricated this dream to kind of make me feel important in my life, or make the people around me think I had a purpose, right? Like, it was making me kind of miserable. At least when I was at that day job that I was working, I was writing music in my head, and I was excited to get home to the studio at night, and I was creating things that I really loved and felt passionate about all the way through the process, instead of having to fight myself to get the wheels turning every single day. But I chose the first one. I really, really, really wanted to make this work. And I also was believing what a lot of the creative community echoed to me, which is that you're not legit unless you're full-time. And finding artists, they like it when you say it's your full-time job. Everybody wants full-time. They pedestalize it just like you do. And it's this badge of honor if you're full-time. And so I didn't want to let that go. I really wanted to make it work. And so I had to figure out, where did that passion go? What happened? So I started with the basics. I was working too much. I found a producer friend who also had the problem of overworking. We got together, we created a plan to keep each other accountable, to take 2 days off every single week. Really simple stuff. A 5-day work week. Who would have thought? Magic. It totally helped, made me feel way more energetic in my work, but not everything was fully solved. I still didn't feel that spark, still didn't feel that passion. So I found more people who were doing production full time. I started to create community around what I was doing. And that was also amazing. It was really cool talking to people once a month who were doing this. We had a group call, and it kind of sparks that inspiration to like, okay, they're doing it, so I can do it, right? And so I kept getting after it because I was talking to them, and that really helped. It helped keep me going, but it didn't fix it fully. And it certainly didn't bring back the passion. So I was really, really stumped for a while. I was very confused. Then I had one night in the studio. I had finished a little bit early, didn't have anything I had to do, and I opened up my DAW and I started to just lay some drums. And then came a really cool bass line. And then I started to just kind of mess with the texture of the whole thing. I wasn't writing a song. I wasn't finishing anything. There was no agenda. I was just playing. And all of a sudden I felt it. I felt that spark that I used to feel after 3 shifts, coming home, working on a late night when I should be sleeping. I started to feel that energetic reaction to the music I was making. And it was that night that it hit me. I needed to make time to play with no intentions, to get lost the way I used to get lost in loving sound. See, I had made my creativity my career. And what I had lost is that now this thing was an obligation. I had to make music, whether I liked it or not. It was my income. I was now paying bills with music. And you don't get to take days off from creating. You don't get to always pull from a well of inspiration when you have obligation attached to your passion. You have to show up when you don't want to. You have to make music and get shit done when you're not feeling inspired. You have to go through your creative checklist that you've made in your head from just years of doing it more times than you get the high of creation that organically bubbles up because you stepped into a moment. I didn't have to do music when I was working 3 jobs, but I needed music because music was the only thing in my life that I was happy with. Everything else around me was falling apart, and music was the structure and security that I craved. It was emotional release that felt safe. And I think for a lot of us, we find our creative passions out of necessity, out of this thing of like, everything around me is so shitty that I need an outlet. I need something that feels like it's mine. I need something that I can express myself in. I need something that I love consuming, that when I consume, for me, it's music. For others, it's, film or art or photography. When I consume it, it makes me feel not alone. It makes me feel like other people have experienced what I'm experiencing right now. We find our creative passions in that place. But something had happened to me over the past 3 years that I was full-time. My life had changed. I had built a life outside of the studio, outside of my creative passion. I was now in a relationship that I felt safe and happy in. I had been working on myself to become a better, loving, kinder human being to me and to the people around me. I started skating for the first time since I was a kid, and I started to learn to surf, and I prioritized living somewhere that made me happy. I started to let myself enjoy little things like video games again, and like relearn that process of like engaging with things that aren't productive. I didn't need music anymore. It wasn't my only outlet. And what happened was I had spent the last 3 years expecting my relationship with music to not change, expecting it to fill the same role in my life that it had for the previous 9 years before I was full-time. And that just wasn't gonna happen. I put my false expectations on music for 3 years. My expectations were, this is the thing that will save me. This is the thing that will show everyone around me that I can do the things they say I can't do. This is the thing that will prove the doubters wrong. I will join my other creative peers at full-time status and will walk arm in arm knowing that we had what it takes to be great. Because that's what I was told that I needed. That's what I had seen modeled by others whenever there was a camera on them, was like this thing of like, yeah, see, I had what it takes to make it. And it's true, there is a dedication and a drive, and hopefully you can hear that from my story, that like, I wanted this thing so bad, I put in the work to get it. But what I didn't realize is that even if you have the dedication to put in the work to get it, it doesn't mean that you're making better art. And that is the biggest lie that comes from this message that we push to each other as creatives on social media and here on YouTube, is that the ones who are full-time are making the best art. It's just not true. You are fully valid as a creative if you just want it to be your passion. You're fully valid as a creative if you want to engage with your art on the basis of, I do it when I feel inspired. It's just different. It's not better. It's not worse. It's just different. And I wish somebody had told me that, because I love what I do as a job. I'm so grateful. I'm halfway through my 4th year and it has been the best. I'm happy. I'm feeling satisfied. I'm feeling passionate because I've made time to just engage with my creativity with no goal. That is the key to keeping my passion alive in my creativity, in my career setting. But there's still hard days, and there's still days when I am envious of people who are dedicated enough to know that their relationship to their art is selfish and unproductive in the best ways, that it is an outlet that needs to be separate from monetary value. I think that is incredible. And will I stop being full-time? I don't think so, but I don't know. All I know is that however you choose to engage with your art, whether it's as a hobby or whether it's as a career, value your passion for that thing above everything else. And if you engage with it as a career, know that there are other people who went through that relationship changing process like you're gonna go through. Start talking about it. Stop pedestalizing the creative career.